Hi again, everybody. My name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. And these are my G-Shock squares. Yeah, and well, what can I say? A great classic design. The very first G-Shock square the very first G-Shock watch on the market looked an awful lot like this one here. So they've updated some of the functions and features, but basically you retain that same basic look, some different colors and different varieties and stuff like that. So, how can you not like these G-Shock squares? Maybe you don't think you need quite this many varieties, but there's always just something a little bit charming about each one of these. And so this is what I have so far, including the newest one that eluded me for a long time. So what can I tell you about this one? Let's talk about the full metal G-Shock square. Now, if you've been paying attention, you know that all the cool kids were showing their full metal G-Shock squares on YouTube 3 years ago, or maybe even 4 years ago when this was first introduced. And why did I drag my feet for so long before I finally got one of these? All right, well, there are several reasons. First of all, the price. This is not always easy for me to spend a whole bunch of money on watches because I don't wheel and deal. I don't sell watches. I don't flip watches. If I buy a watch, it's because I want it and I want to keep it. And so, if it's a high price watch, it's not that easy for me. So a watch like this, okay, is not too much different in the functions from, just this one right here, right? So why should it cost so much more? Or even, let's do a more fair comparison. This guy here, okay? This is my first G-Shock square with Bluetooth, and it also came with this stylish bracelet here. And it's resin, and it has all kinds of great functions and features. And it's got that kind of gold tone thing to it there. And I think I might have found a good deal. I paid somewhere around $200 for this, maybe a little bit less when it was first introduced. I may have gotten a good deal. So, someone could take a watch like this and probably go to AliExpress and for about $100 buy a conversion kit and replace the bezel and this bracelet with metal parts. So by then you're into it about $300 and you'd have a metal G-Shock square, right, with Bluetooth. So then this one was like $500. And so it was a little bit difficult for me to justify that at the moment. And $500 for just one watch is not really my style. Now, I realize I have lots of watches, and altogether they add up to a lot more than $500. But for $500 for just one, it was just hard for me to contemplate that for a while. And then there was a gold version of this, and it cost more. And I think it was limited edition. So before I knew it, the gold version was well over $1,000, and it had kind of a little. I don't know how much actual gold was in it, right? But it reminded me of C-3PO, right? And it also reminded me of some of the original digital watches I saw when I was a kid in the late 1970s. So it was gold. They looked a lot like that, but I just couldn't justify that much money. And then there was a gold tone version of this with a negative LCD, and I'm not a big fan of negative LCD, so that was a little bit more reasonable price. But again, I kept dragging my feet because that's just a lot of money for me. I'm sorry, it just is. Now, they came out with some other variations of this with different colors. Most of them were negative LCD. And again, it's not my preference. So those weren't a serious consideration for me. They had, titanium and some other materials, special colors on the metal pieces. And so there were a lot of them out there, and I just saw higher and higher prices and styles that I didn't care for. Some it was all metal here, but then they had kind of a resin watch band instead of a metal bracelet. And a lot of people liked that. They thought it was very comfortable. But again, I was just holding back price and everything until finally I thought, okay, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and am I going to do something about it or just move on? And I decided, okay, I'm going to keep a close eye on prices because the prices seem to be going down in the last few months. So when the price reaches a point that I figure is a little bit more, more comfortable for me financially, I'll go ahead and, get one of these. So obviously that's what happened. Now, I don't know, there's been some speculation that the value of the dollar versus the yen The dollar has become quite a bit stronger against the yen recently, and that may have driven the prices down a bit. So when this was first available, about $500. And then I thought that it went down to about $400. But then as soon as they came out with the version with the resin band, that was the $400 one. And this one, every time I saw it, it was about $500. And so recently, this year, this one I saw for about $400, and suddenly the price was going below $400. So when it reached a point, and Father's Day was coming up and all that, I think I got this for a little bit more than $350. And it's in brand new condition, and so I went for it. All right, so I finally have one. Okay, that's my long story of why I didn't have one before. Now I do. And if you've been paying attention to these, you've already watched a couple dozen videos of other guys showing off their full metal G-Shock square. So what can I tell you about it? Of course, it has all the functions I like. Tough solar. So there's a solar cell built into the face of the watch. It charges its own power supply with exposure to just everyday lighting. If you wear the watch, it'll get enough light. If you don't wear it, just leave it out exposed somewhere where it's going to get light. Don't leave it in a dark box, and it'll still have plenty of light. It'll keep itself charged up. It does not have an indicator here on the face to show you if that battery is charged or not, but that's something you can access through the app and the Bluetooth connection on your smartphone or tablet. A nice, familiar face, familiar functions here. I can go through the different modes. There's a world time mode where you can choose 5 different time zones and quickly look at the local time in any of those other time zones. Okay, then it's got an hourly signal that you can turn on or off, and it also has 5 different alarms. The 5th one is a snooze alarm, which will repeat every 5 minutes for up to half an hour. And I haven't set those yet, but they're very easy to set using the app. And or you can also just use a series of pushing this button and that button and stuff you would do on the non-Bluetooth watches to set that up. Stopwatch, it'll go hours, minutes, seconds, and hundredths of a second. For the first hour, this is what it shows. And then after the first hour, all these things shift over and you don't have the hundredths of a second there anymore. But if it reaches all the way to 24 hours, it will reset to 0 and keep on going. And again, that first hour after it resets, it'll look like this. And as you can see right there, you do have the local time up in this window while the stopwatch is running, or when you stop it, or you have the split time, whatever, you've got all that right there with local time right there. Here you have a countdown timer, which is hours, minutes, and seconds, all the way from 1 second up to a full 24-hour countdown timer, if that's what you like. It still has the 20-bar water resistance that you would expect from a G-Shock and other features you would expect from a G-Shock. This LCD is different from these other G-Shocks in that this is an STN display. So STN Super Twist, what does it stand for? Anyway, I'll put it on screen. That's what it stands for. And what it basically means in practical terms is that you have a little bit better contrast, especially if you're looking at it from different angles. It's a little bit easier to see the readout at these extreme angles compared to a more traditional normal LCD. And you can't really tell, side by side here that it makes a huge difference. I guess it makes a little bit of a difference there. But, in everyday usage, unless they are side by side, I would say you're not going to notice it too much, but it is just a bonus. If you're going to get all those great features on here, you might as well have a special LCD. Okay, so a lot of people talk about, you've got a slightly brushed finish here on the watch bracelet, and also this most forward surface on the bezel, but the rest of this looks highly polished. Okay, so that's pretty good. I'll just show you the back of it really quick. It has a screw down back of the case, so a lot of people like that for just extra protection and water resistance. All the really great water resistant watches use a screw down back on the case. Under here, it's also a fully metal case here. The actual case, and you can see where it goes up here towards the bracelet. That's all metal. It's stainless steel with that special coating on it to make it black. But then all this other stuff on the front, of course, is the nice polished stainless steel look. It's pretty easy to size the bracelet here. Just uses spring bars that you can take like a sewing pin and push down there to release the spring bars You don't even need a spring bar tool to do that, but it would help to have a spring bar tool to do that. And of course you have micro adjustments here on the clasp. So pretty easy to get that sized, and once it's sized, you're ready to go. Some people do want to make an issue out of the fact that right here, these first links on the bracelet don't move significantly. Just a little play there. So depending on the size of your wrist, the fact that it sticks out that far before you have any real play on the bracelet, that might bother some folks, because that's quite a span there that it's not going to wrap around your wrist if you have a smaller wrist. So anyway, I'm very familiar with this because in most ways it just operates the exact same way as these other Bluetooth squares. So yeah, what can I say? It's just something I'm familiar with, but now I have it in this stylish stainless steel color, and I didn't pay too much money for it, so I'm happy about that. And I think, once I got this sized to my wrist, I was wearing it like all the time, except now here's the other issue you might have to deal with here. Okay, so you've got this, right? A lot of people say it's very easily scratched. Okay, so if you're going to have this as the watch that you wear every day for whatever you do, you're going to have to expect to see some scratches on these surfaces coming soon. Now, I will probably not use this watch in everyday usage because I have so many other squares, right? So if I think I'm going to go out and do something that would require, like a beater watch, something that I can get a few scrapes and scratches without doing too much damage. And this is a third-party Chinese bracelet here, so I'm not too worried about this. It was very inexpensive, and it's holding up okay. So I would definitely use one of these other watches if I thought that there was any damage, any possibility of damage, right? So I am probably just going to save this for, special occasions or around the house when I know I'm not going to be using power tools or whatever like that. That's when I'm going to use this watch. And it was very tempting to just wear this all the time because it is so unique. And there is something very, very attractive about this once you have it in your hands. So if the budget works for you, go ahead and get something like this and watch for those prices. And if you think that it's gone down far enough for your comfort, now might be a good time to take advantage of a good deal on this G-Shock Square. There's also something nice about this, even though it's not the gold one that reminds me of some of those first watches I saw in the late 70s and early 80s that were digital watches. Hey, the fact that it's stainless steel, it's still just as much of a reminder of the kinds of watches that you used to see back when digital watches were a brand new thing on the market. So there's some nostalgia here, combined with all the latest functions and features that you would expect from a high-quality G-Shock. And as far as these metal G-Shocks go, this is not going to be top-of-the-line expensive. There's a new one out there. It's very special titanium case that they've developed. All kinds of very special engineering going into this brand new G-Shock Square with this special titanium on there. There's a couple versions out there. I saw one and it was available for $3,500. And then the other one was $4,000. So if you really wanted to pay, and this is hard for me to do, I just can't wrap my head around paying thousands of dollars for a G-Shock that does exactly the same stuff that this one does, except that it's made with some titanium on there and some special material and some really high quality polish, and just, they can say all they want about how well they've dressed it up, but deep down, it's still just going to do what this one does. So here, because there's a $4,000 G-Shock out there that looks a lot like this, then I don't feel too bad about spending about $350, somewhere between $350 and $400 for this one. It doesn't seem that extravagant anymore. But it might be, for a long time coming, this might be the only G-Shock, full metal G-Shock I have for a while, because like I said, G-Shocks are fun. I don't want to spend a fortune on each and every one of them. I'd rather spend a fortune on dozens of them. You know me, that's my style. And that's how it goes. Anyway, that's all for now. I can give you a link to my in-depth review where I go over everything that's in the app. This one will do exactly the same things. It's a different module than this one here, but they do exactly the same things in the app. So anytime you want to set it up and use it, just if you know how to use one of these, you know how to use this as well. And really, that's about everything I wanted to say for now, for today, other than thank you for watching, and I hope you will come back soon because I've got more watches to talk about. How about this one? In an upcoming episode of The Good Timekeeping Show.